Hello, friends. It's wonderful to see you here today. If you're new, welcome to our community where we care for your health, your joy, and your everyday energy. If you find this helpful, please tap subscribe so you don't miss the simple, science-backed guidance we share every week. Now, take a comfortable breath in, and let me ask you a question that might surprise you. What if the biggest upgrades to your health in the next 30 days are not about working harder, but about listening more kindly to what your body has been whispering for years? I know you've seen 1,000 tips before. Walk more, eat better, sleep longer, yes, yes, yes. But today, I want to take you into the small moments where change actually happens. Not in a gym with a stopwatch, but on a quiet Tuesday morning when you slide your feet into your shoes, or in the silence right before bedtime when you decide to turn the page of a book instead of the TV remote. Those are the tiny doors that open to better balance, steadier blood sugar, calmer blood pressure, and a mind that feels clear enough to laugh at the commercials. We often think big change must feel dramatic. The truth is, the body loves gentle consistency. It rewards patience. It answers kindness with resilience. Let's begin with a story. Eleanor is 72. She used to love gardening, but last year her knees insisted she treat them with respect. She told me, almost embarrassed, that she felt like a houseplant stuck inside a pot that was a little too small. So we made an agreement she could keep. 5 minutes of movement every morning right after brushing her teeth. That was it. Not a marathon, not even a brisk walk, just 5 minutes circles with the ankles, a slow dance with the hips, gentle shoulder rolls while the kettle boiled. In 3 weeks, her knees were not new, but they were kinder. She said, "I feel like I watered my joints." Her confidence bloomed. She went back to the soil once the spring thaw came, raised beds, cushioned kneelers, a timer on her phone to remind her to stand and stretch. The result wasn't a miracle. It was a conversation between her and her body, and for the first time in a long time, she was listening. Perhaps you know someone like Harris, 68, who prided himself on being tough. He treated his sleep like a negotiation he should always win. 5 hours was good enough. But mornings came foggy and afternoons arrived cranky. We tried a little experiment, a wind-down ritual like pilots use before takeoff, a checklist that teaches the brain it's safe to land. 2 hours before bed, he dims the lights. 1 hour before bed, he brews a small cup of chamomile or just warm water with lemon. 30 minutes before bed, he writes down the 3 things he wants to put down until tomorrow: a worry, a task, a thought that keeps looping. The first week, he felt ridiculous. The second week, he noticed fewer argument dreams. By the third week, his mornings felt more like mornings than emergencies. With more sleep came calmer blood pressure and fewer late-night snacks. He stopped treating rest like weakness and started honoring it as maintenance. Planes don't fly forever without landing. Neither do we. Now I can almost hear your mind ask, what about food? Shouldn't health begin in the kitchen? Yes, and it begins even earlier with the memory of your grandmother's soup, with the dignity of a meal eaten at a table instead of in front of the fridge, with a glass of water that you finish before your breakfast. Rosa, 75, told me water tasted like nothing, which made it hard to remember. So she made it a little something, a pinch of salt, a splash of citrus, a few slices of cucumber in a pitcher that lived on her counter. It became a tiny ritual of attention. When she felt a headache brewing, she checked the pitcher first. When her ankles felt heavy in the afternoon, she checked the pitcher. Her body started to trust that hydration would arrive. Her energy steadying wasn't dramatic. It was subtler, like the difference between driving with the radio static and driving with a station that comes in clear. There's another voice I want to honor today. The voice that says, "I'm behind." If you've ever felt like the world has become a gym you don't belong to, I want to gently challenge that story. Your body has been practicing one skill longer than any athlete alive: adaptation. It knows how to rewrite the plan. It knows how to learn. The trick is to make the lesson small enough that it feels safe to try. George is 71 and a veteran. He told me his legs felt like they were swinging sandbags by 3 p.m. We started not with squats, but with a chair. Every hour, on the hour, he simply stood from that chair without using his hands and then sat down again. If it felt easy, he did it twice. If it felt wobbly, he did it once and smiled at the wobble. In 2 weeks, getting out of a car was less of a negotiation. In a month, he noticed he didn't scan every room for handholds. Strength returned as a side effect of dignity, the dignity of doing a hard thing gently, repeatedly, and with humor. You may have noticed we haven't mentioned numbers much. That's on purpose. Numbers can help, but compassion helps first. Once you've built that, let's talk about measurable changes. If you check your blood pressure, choose the same chair at about the same time each day, feet on the floor, back supported. If you track your steps, let them be an invitation, not a judgment. And if you monitor blood sugar, let me offer a tiny experiment. Take a 10-minute walk after your largest meal of the day. Don't try to burn calories. Try to greet your neighborhood. Wave to a tree. Notice a cloud. After a week, many people tell me their numbers look like someone ironed them fewer spikes, gentler dips. The effort feels less like exercise and more like a second course of fresh air. Let's talk about something the brochures rarely mention: loneliness and worry, the quiet twin storms that sap energy faster than any treadmill can build it. I remember Lorraine, 74, who admitted she hadn't heard her own laugh in weeks. We made a 2-minute plan. Every day she called a friend and asked one question that could never be answered with, "Fine." Questions like, "What surprised you today?" Or, "What would you bake if I were coming over?" 2 minutes became 5. 5 became a weekly tea with neighbors she'd lived beside for years, but never truly met. Her mood lifted not because she did something dramatic, but because she built a small bridge and crossed it daily. Social connection doesn't have to be a party. It can be the steady rhythm of being witnessed, of witnessing others, of remembering that life is still a conversation we get to join. Pain is another honest companion in later life, and it deserves the same respect we give to a smoke alarm. We don't panic when we hear it. We investigate. Consider gentle body scanning. Sit in a chair, feet grounded, and travel your attention from your scalp to your toes. Wherever tension gathers, breathe in as if you were inflating a small balloon right behind that muscle. Breathe out with a sigh, as if you could open a window. Add warmth, a heating pad, a shower before you move, and coolness after. Over time, you're not just treating discomfort. You're learning its language. Pain often says, "Please warm me up before you ask me to work. Please give me a stable surface. Please let me recover." That listening turns fear into partnership. This is not denial. It's diplomacy. I want to address the fear that sometimes visits at night, the fear of falling. Balance is a skill that responds beautifully to practice. Imagine you're washing dishes. Stand with one foot slightly in front of the other for 30 seconds, then switch. While brushing your teeth, stand on one leg with a hand hovering over the counter for safety. When you walk down the hall, pick a line in the floor and treat it like a tightrope, heel to toe, heel to toe. Over weeks, these tiny games teach your brain to trust your feet. I've seen people write to me that the hallway became their favorite gym. They found confidence in the same place they once felt fear. Now may I tell you a story that begins with a hat. Frank, 79, used to always wear a broad-brimmed hat his wife gave him. After she passed, the hat lived on a peg. He told me movement felt like work without her. We set one intention that felt like her walk to see the sunset 3 evenings a week and bring the hat. He did. Sometimes he cried. Sometimes he hummed. Always he moved. Grief and health became companions, and the ritual gave both a place to sit. In the language of the heart, that walk did not count steps. It counted moments. Those moments kept his lungs honest, his legs practiced, his spirit connected to a sky that changes color to remind us that we do too. Let's shift to food again, but not from a list of forbidden pleasures. I prefer a list of invited friends. Protein in each meal invites your muscles to stay. Vegetables invite your gut to make the chemicals that calm inflammation. Berries invite your brain to sparkle a little brighter. If appetite feels fickle, maybe the times you eat need to match the times you feel most alive. Some of my friends feel best with a hearty late breakfast, a light mid-afternoon plate, and a simple evening bowl of soup. Others love a traditional breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The best plan is the one you can lovingly repeat, the one that tastes like care rather than restriction. And please, let flavor be your ally. Herbs, lemon, a drizzle of olive oil. These are not decorations. They are invitations for joy to sit down at your table. I want to plant a little seed about motivation. Most people think it's a fire you either have or don't. I see it more like a plant that loves bright windows. If you place your shoes by the door, that's a window. If your water pitcher sits where the sunlight lands, that's a window. If you write a kind note to your future self and stick it on the fridge, you don't need to be perfect, you just need to start, that's a window. When motivation shrinks, don't blame yourself. Move the plant to a sunnier spot. Breath is medicine we carry for free, and it's tragically underused. Try this with me now if you like. Inhale gently through your nose for a count of 4, hold for 2, exhale through pursed lips for a count of 6. Imagine you're fogging a mirror, long and slow. Do it 3 times. Your heart will often accept the invitation to slow down with you. Use this before a doctor's visit, before a difficult phone call, before bed. If you've ever wanted a button that says steady, this is as close as we come. Let's talk about doctor visits. You are not a passenger in your health, you are a co-pilot. Write your top 2 questions on paper before you go. Bring your list of medications, including vitamins. If something doesn't sit right in your spirit, it's okay to say, "Doctor, can we walk through that once more?" The best practitioners welcome your curiosity because it means you're invested in your health. And if you forget what was said, call the office later. Your clarity matters. We cannot ignore the role of joy. No, you don't need to become a professional painter, but if you enjoyed watercolors once, put a glass of water next to a small set of brushes and paint one leaf while the kettle sings. If you used to dance, put on one song while folding laundry. Joy sneaks movement into the body when we stop auditioning for fitness and start rehearsing for life. And if you love grandkids but don't have them nearby, consider adopting a weekly story time with a neighbor's children or volunteering at the library. Herds of smiles are health food. Another small but mighty practice: light. Morning light tells your body clock what time it is. Open your curtains as soon as you rise. Step outside for a few minutes if you can. In the evening, dim lamps. Avoid bright overheads and let your house mimic the sunset. Your sleep will say thank you. Your mood will too. Technology can be a friend if we teach it good manners. Put your phone in Do Not Disturb during wind-down hours. Use reminders not to nag, but to nudge. A soft chime at noon that says, "Stand, sip, and smile" can reset a day that's starting to sink. I promised you another story, a small one about courage. Alma, 81, told me she felt silly doing balance drills in her kitchen. Then her great-granddaughter visited. The little one counted 1, 2, 3, as Alma balanced on one leg. She wobbled and caught herself on the counter, and the child clapped like she had won a medal. No trophy arrived, but something larger did permission. The rest of the week, Alma practiced with the same fierce joy children bring to sidewalk chalk, unembarrassed by the wobble, proud of the try. That week, she trusted the shower a little more. She said the tiles didn't look like a threat. Success isn't always louder steps. Sometimes it's a quieter fear. You may be wondering, is it too late for me? Let me say this as clearly as I can. No, your body is listening today. If you meet it with respect, it will answer. If you are managing medical conditions, every gentle step you take is not just allowed, it is an investment that compounds stronger breath, kinder blood pressure, steadier sugars, softer joints, sharper memory. Start where you are, with what you have for 5 minutes. Then keep the promise again tomorrow. Healing is not a straight line. It is a friendly spiral you return to the same places with a little more wisdom each time. Let us speak of fear again because it's honest. Fear says, "What if I fall?" Courage answers, "What if I practice?" Fear says, "What if I look foolish?" Compassion answers, "What if I look cared for?" We don't remove fear. We give it a seat and we drive anyway. Your life is larger than your diagnosis. Your day is bigger than your calendar. There is room even now for strength to grow, for feelings to be heard, for hope to be useful. Before we gather up our thoughts, I want to offer a small weekly rhythm you can make your own. On Sundays, choose your 3 health promises, one for movement, one for nourishment, one for rest. Write them on a card, place it by your toothbrush, and read it aloud each morning. Keep them small enough that they never scare you. On Wednesdays, check in. What felt supportive? What felt pushy? Adjust. On Fridays, celebrate one thing you repeated, no matter how tiny. Repetition is the mother of results. Joy is the father. Let them raise your habits together. Now, as promised, here is our closing reflection about 200 words to keep in your pocket when motivation goes missing. The lesson is simple but not easy. Your body is your oldest friend, and friends respond to kindness, not criticism. Begin with the smallest action that proves you care. Drink water before coffee. Stand during commercials. Step outside and tell the sky what color you see. Put protein on your plate. Turn down the lights 30 minutes earlier. Practice getting out of a chair without your hands. Call someone who knows your laugh. Wobble and smile. When your numbers look messy, don't punish yourself. Investigate like a good neighbor. What changed? What helped last time? Repeat that. Health is not a race along a track. It is a garden that rewards whoever shows up with a watering can. Some days, you will water everything. Some days, you'll water one plant and go back to bed. Both count. What matters is the relationship you are building with your breath, your balance, your plate, your people, your sleep. If you keep showing up, the harvest will come, and when it does, it will taste like the life you wanted to keep living. If this spoke to your heart, I'd be honored if you'd subscribe for more gentle, practical guidance. Tell me in the comments which small promise you'll keep this week, and share this with someone you love who might need a friendly voice in their corner. Together, we can make health feel like home again.